Khargeji, Adil Ranjanji, members of the CPP, and friends, we have gathered here under extraordinary circumstances. India is in the grip of a deadly health disaster, life-saving medicine, oxygen, and vaccines. It is heartbreaking to see people battling for their lives in hospitals, on the roads, waiting in vehicles, far too many for want of any medical help at all. And what is the Modi government doing? Instead of alleviating their suffering and pain, it has abdicated its fundamental responsibility and duties towards the people. The government's own empowered groups and its National Task Force for COVID-19 had warned the Modi government that a second wave was imminent and urged it to plan and prepare for it. The Parliamentary Standing Committee on Health and opposition parties had raised serious concerns regarding our preparedness. Yet, earlier this year, the Prime Minister arrogantly boasted that he had defeated the pandemic, and his party obediently felicitated him for his so-called success. Ignoring expert advice, the Modi government refused to strengthen the supply chain for oxygen, medicine, and ventilators. It failed to place sufficient orders for vaccine. Rather, he gifted many away to foreign countries in time to meet the needs of our people. Instead, it consciously chose to allocate thousands of crores for non-essential projects that have nothing to do with the people's well-being. Instead of helping desperate patients, some BJP governments have been using the state's repressive power to arrest people. Why and for what? Merely for crying out for help. They are cracking down on citizens groups who are trying their best to help. They are also compelling social media platforms and the media to obfuscate the truth and ignore the pleas of desperate citizens. As all of you know, Parliament had allocated rupees 35,000 crores in the union budget to ensure free vaccine for all. Yet, the Modi government has placed the burden on already stretched state governments. It has allowed differential pricing for vaccines. It has refused to enforce compulsory licensing to increase the vaccine production. The Modi government's inequitable vaccination policy will exclude millions of Dalits, Adivasi, OBCs, as well as the poor and the marginalized. It is utterly shocking to see the Modi government abdicate its moral obligation and its sworn duty towards the people. Let us be absolutely clear. The system hasn't failed. The Modi government has been unable to constructively channelize India's many strengths and resources. And I say this categorically. India is crippled by a political leadership today that has no empathy for the people. The Modi government has failed the people of our country. You are all aware of the very many letters Dr. Manmohan Singh ji, former President, Congress President Rahul ji, and I have written to the Prime Minister in a spirit of constructive cooperation, giving very pointed and practical suggestions for action. I have personally been in touch with our Chief Minister. They too have spoken continuously to either the Prime Minister or ministers or the ministers concerned about the seriousness of the situation in their states. They get some vague reply promises. They get a minimal amount of what they need rather than getting the full amount of what they have asked for. Another issue which is painful is that the government is partial towards governments where they are in government or other governments who, for some reason or other, suit them. Some of our colleagues have been regularly and quite effectively raising legitimate concerns and questions in the media. Unfortunately, these helpful initiatives have fallen on deaf ears. Our party organizations, workers, and leaders are working tirelessly in every capacity to alleviate the chaos, the pain, and the indignity our people are suffering. They are contributing their time and resources to ensure that people are able to access oxygen supplies, medicine, ventilators, and hospital beds. Free ambulance services have started in some places. Facilities for tele-counseling by doctors have been set up and helplines have been established. The Youth Congress efforts have been particularly noteworthy. I'm sure all of you are also involved in your respective areas in extending help and assistance to the needy. Since the government has failed to deliver these essential services and supplies on adequate scale, it is imperative that we enhance and streamline these efforts. The AICC COVID control room is reaching out with a detailed blueprint. Similar COVID relief control rooms have been set up at the state level, at perhaps not all states, but quite a number of them. Efforts must be made to organize ambulances, temporary beds, oxygen concentrators, and necessary medicine. In our party, there are so many resourceful persons and colleagues, and I would urge them to come forward and render whatever help possible through our relief control room or on their own. Friends, the Congress Party firmly believes that fighting COVID is not a government versus us battle, but a us versus corona battle. This battle transcends political differences. We have to fight this battle together as a nation. In that spirit, as a first step, I believe that the Modi government must urgently call an all-party meeting on the COVID-19 situation. The Congress Party also demands that standing committees must be convened virtually to ensure collective action and accountability to combat the pandemic better. Kargeji, I believe you could bring to the notice of the president of the presiding officer the report of standing committee on health presented in October 2020 and demand on the recommendation of the report.